Hello everyone! Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about this movie and its name is Army of Thieves. The story of Army of Thieves begins not with the chaos of a zombie apocalypse, but with the suffocating silence of a mundane life. We are introduced to Sebastian Schweighöfer, a man living in Potsdam, Germany, whose life is defined by a grueling, repetitive cycle. Every morning he wakes up at the same time, eats the same breakfast, and heads to his job as a bank teller. He is the invisible man. His boss ignores him. His colleagues don't know his name, and his only social interaction is the polite, hollow dialogue he shares with bank customers. But behind this wall of mediocrity lies a brilliant mind. Sebastian is a master of safecracking, not as a criminal, but as an artist and a historian. In his cramped apartment, he runs a YouTube channel dedicated to the craft. He specifically obsesses over the work of Hans Wagner, a legendary locksmith who lived a life of tragedy. Sebastian explains to his non-existent audience that Wagner, after losing his wife and son, poured his grief into 4 legendary safes. These safes were inspired by Richard Wagner's epic opera cycle, Der Ring des Nibelungen. Sebastian describes these safes, the Rheingold, the Valkyrie, the Siegfried, and the Götterdämmerung, as mechanical masterpieces. They aren't just locks, they are puzzles protected by the philosophy of music and myth. While Sebastian pours his heart into these videos, the rest of the world is glued to the news. A zombie outbreak has hit Las Vegas, Nevada, and the images of the undead tearing through the city provide a stark, terrifying contrast to Sebastian's quiet life. He begins to have nightmares about zombies, but the true horror he faces is the fear that he will die without ever having done something extraordinary. Everything changes when a mysterious user leaves a comment on his latest video. The comment contains an address and a time, inviting him to an underground, safe-cracking smackdown in Berlin. Driven by a rare spark of impulse, Sebastian travels to the city and finds himself in a dark, gritty basement filled with people who look like they belong in an action movie. He is the clear outsider in his sweater vest and nervous demeanor. However, when he is called to the stage to crack a high-security safe, the world falls away. He doesn't use heavy machinery or stethoscopes. He places his ear against the cold metal and listens. He feels the vibrations of the tumblers as if they were notes in a song. He cracks the safe in record time, leaving the room in stunned silence. Watching from the shadows is Gwendolyn Starr, a professional jewelry thief with a reputation for being fearless. Sebastian looked towards Gwendolyn's and fell in love with her because she was the only one who smiled at him as she looked his way. The next day, she tracks Sebastian down at his local cafe. She doesn't just want to congratulate him, she wants to recruit him. She explains that the billionaire Bly Tanaka owns the first 3 Wagner safes. Because of the global instability caused by the zombies in America, Tanaka is moving the safes and plans to decommission them. This is the last window of opportunity for anyone to crack the ring cycle. For Sebastian, this isn't about the money. It's about the chance to talk to Hans Wagner through his machines. He agrees to join her crew. Sebastian is introduced to the rest of the team, and it's a classic heist ensemble. First, there's Corina Dominguez, a brilliant but cynical hacker who can bypass any digital security while casually eating snacks. Then, There's Rolf, the getaway driver who has a spiritual connection to his van. Finally, there's Brad Cage. Brad is the group's muscle, a man who grew up obsessed with 90s American action movies to the point that he changed his name from Alexis to Brad Cage. Brad is also Gwendolyn's boyfriend, and he immediately views Sebastian as a weak link and a rival for Gwendolyn's attention. To fit in, the crew gives Sebastian a thief name, Ludwig Dieter. The first heist takes the crew to Paris. Their target is the Rheingold, housed in a high-end credit union. This safe represents the first opera in the cycle, symbolizing the theft of gold and the temptation of power. As the crew moves into position, the tension is palpable. Karina loops the security cameras while Brad and Rolf keep watch. Inside the vault, Sebastian stands before the Rheingold for the first time. He is trembling with a mix of fear and religious awe. He explains to Gwendolyn that the safe is designed to be uncrackable by anyone who doesn't understand the music. As he begins to turn the dial, we see the internal gears of the safe through a stylized mechanical X-ray vision. Sebastian's fingers move with a grace that contradicts his nervous personality. Outside, we meet the antagonists of the story. Agent Delacroix and his partner Beatrix from Interpol. Delacroix is a man possessed. Years ago, Brad Cage shot him during a heist, and Delacroix has made it his life's mission to put this crew behind bars. He is already analyzing the Paris bank's security, sensing that Gwendolyn is nearby. Just as the police begin to mobilize, a rhythmic click echoes through the vault. Sebastian has done it. The Rheingold is open. The crew escapes into the Parisian night, and for the first time in his life, Sebastian feels truly alive. That night, as the team celebrates their victory, the cracks in the group's foundation begin to show. Sebastian and Gwendolyn share a quiet moment where she reveals that she didn't choose him just for his skills, but because he has a soul, something Brad lacks. Brad notices the growing intimacy between them and becomes increasingly volatile. The second stop is Prague, where the Valkyrie safe is kept. This safe is significantly more difficult than the Rheingold. It represents the warrior maidens of Norse myth and requires a dual locking sequence that must be timed perfectly. The bank's security is much tighter, and the plan requires Brad to create a distraction by staging a fake, loud robbery in the lobby. However, Brad's ego gets in the way. Instead of a simple distraction, he engages in a brutal, unnecessary fight with security guards, which alerts the police much earlier than planned. Inside the vault, Sebastian is working frantically. The sounds of sirens are getting closer, and the pressure is mounting. Gwendolyn tries to keep him focused, but the chaos outside is distracting. Sebastian realizes that the Valkyrie is a safe of conflict. He has to fight the machine. With seconds to spare before the police breach the vault, the heavy door swings open, and when Brad realizes that Sebastian and Gwendolyn coming outside, he begins to exit the bank. But the guard attacks him and shoots him in his shoulder. Barely managing, Brad breaks the window and escapes from the bank. As soon as Brad steps outside, everyone comes out of the bank to save themselves. And taking the opportunity, Gwendolyn and Sebastian come out the bank with the bag. They run towards their car, and Brad grabs Gwendolyn's hand and pulls her into the van. The escape is a disaster. Brad, seeing an opportunity to get rid of Sebastian, tries to leave him behind as the police swarm the area. Gwendolyn manages to save Sebastian, but the betrayal is final. Then Sebastian runs away from the police, and he actually manages to escape from them successfully. Once they reach their safe house, Gwendolyn and Karina decide to break away from Brad and Rolf taking Sebastian with them. They are now a splinter group, determined to finish the cycle on their own terms. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Delacroix finds Sebastian's YouTube channel, and by looking at Gwendolyn's comment on Sebastian's lastest video, they realize that she is their 5th member. However, he has no criminal record, but through this young man, meaning Sebastian, they aim to catch the mastermind behind the entire plan. Terms. The final safe, the Götterdämmerung, the Twilight of the Gods, is the stuff of legends. It is located in St. Moritz, Switzerland, inside a massive mountain vault. This safe is Hans Wagner's masterpiece and is said to be cursed. It is being moved to a more secure location due to the collapse of the financial markets caused by the zombie apocalypse. The trio realizes they cannot break into the vault, so they decide to hijack the safe while it is being transported by an armored truck. This leads to the film's most intense sequence. Gwendolyn and Karina manage to intercept the transport truck, while Sebastian is tasked with cracking the safe in the back of a moving vehicle as it winds through dangerous mountain passes. To make matters worse, they are being hunted from 2 sides. Delacroix and his Interpol fleet are closing in from the rear, and Brad and Rolf have tracked them down, seeking revenge for being abandoned. Inside the dark, vibrating hold of the truck, Sebastian faces his greatest challenge. The Götterdämmerung has hundreds of thousands of combinations and a mechanism that will permanently lock the safe if a single mistake is made. Sebastian realizes that this safe isn't a puzzle, it's a story. He begins to talk to the safe, recounting the end of the Norse gods, the fire that consumes the world, and the rebirth that follows. As the truck swerves and bullets fly outside, Sebastian enters a state of total zen. He feels the twilight within the machine. With a final thunderous click, the legendary Götterdämmerung yields. Sebastian has completed the ring cycle, a feat that no other human being has ever achieved. However, the victory is short-lived. Karina is captured by Delacroix's team. Under intense pressure and the threat of her family being targeted, she is forced to give up their meeting point. Both of them are very happy, and they fill all the money into the bag. Before they can leave from here, Brad arrives and holds them at gunpoint, demanding his share. He already hates Sebastian, so he shoots at him, but his gun has no bullets. Then Gwendolyn pulls out her own gun and points it at him, telling him that she never loaded his gun. After that, she ties up Brad and Rolf with the truck, takes the money, and leaves in their vehicle. After they leave, Karina also brings police officer Delacroix to the truck. Delacroix beating Brad because Brad shots him, and arrests Brad and Rolf. Gwendolyn and Sebastian reach a small boat at the edge of a lake, thinking they are finally free. But as they prepare to depart, Delacroix appears, gun drawn. In a moment of profound sacrifice, Gwendolyn realizes that they cannot both escape. She knows that Sebastian is the only one who truly understands the beauty of what they have accomplished. He is the artist. She is just the thief. She makes a deal with Delacroix. She will surrender peacefully and go to prison if he allows Sebastian to leave. Delacroix, obsessed with getting his win over Gwendolyn, agrees. Sebastian is devastated. He pleads with her to come with him, but she tells him that their story isn't over. He just has to wait for her. He watches from the boat crying as the woman who changed his life is led away in handcuffs. The story shifts forward in time and location. We find ourselves in the dusty, sun-drenched landscape of Nevada, USA. Sebastian has reinvented himself. He is no longer the timid bank teller from Potsdam. He has a beard, a sharp gaze, and a new identity, Ludwig Dieter. He owns a small shop called Gwendolyn's Safe and Lock. He spends his days surrounded by the mechanics he loves, but his heart is still with the woman he left behind in Europe. One afternoon, a rugged man named Scott Ward and a woman named Maria Cruz walk into his shop. They aren't looking for a locksmith. They are looking for a specialist. Scott Ward explains that there is one more Wagner safe, a mythical fourth safe, called the Siegfried. Bly Tanaka has hidden it deep beneath the Las Vegas Strip, inside a vault called the Götterdämmerung, named in honor of the cycle. The catch? Las Vegas is now a walled-off dead zone, filled with millions of hyper-aggressive zombies. Scott Ward asks Dieter if he's interested in joining a mercenary team to break into the city and crack the safe. Dieter looks at a photo of Gwendolyn he keeps hidden in his desk. He realizes that this is the final movement of the symphony. To truly honor Hans Wagner and Gwendolyn, he must face the dragon in the cave. "It would be my professional honor," he says, with a confident smirk that Sebastian never could have managed. The movie ends right as the events of Army of the Dead are about to begin.